Oh, come on. Come on. Come on. We all got our pile of shame, and on the top of mine is a little game by the name of Die Hard Vendetta. I bought this licensed game day one because, look at me. Do I look like someone who's got it together? Is this the face of a fella who's got it all figured out? The only thing I have ever figured out is how to sync the sweet S 3-pointer. The one thing I really remember about this one was getting stuck in the second level for days, then just selling the game back to the store in hopeless frustration. Then kind of forgetting why I sold it back and renting it a few more times before eventually getting stuck in the second level again. Then buying it one more time in my mid-20s, popping the bad boy in, and finally getting stuck in the second level again. Well, now it's been over a decade since I last even tried it, so let's rev this old man up and see what I'm made of. Okay, that was weird. Can I re-record that?
No.
What do you mean, no? It doesn't even make any sense.
We're keeping it.
It sounds
We're keeping it.
Fine! I strongly recommend a tutorial since the game does have a few interesting mechanics, the first being a sneaking mode where by pressing the B button you put your guns up and walk slower and are somehow less visible to enemies. It sounds dumb, but it allows you to sneak up behind baddies and take them hostage, and if the guy you grabbed is the one in charge, and everyone around him will just drop their weapons. The other important thing they'll teach you is how badly they f***ed up their jumping. Jesus Christ! Taking a page out of Zelda's book for some reason, the game will auto-jump for you when you touch a ledge. Only you can also manually jump if you want. You have exactly zero air control, and momentum is key, so you need to be moving forward before jumping to, jump forward. And for some strange reason, walking forwards and backwards is absurdly fast, but strafing is incredibly slow. You can imagine how all of this makes platforming really difficult. So obviously, it's best to just rely on the auto-jump then. Only that too is broken in a lot of ways, and sometimes even running full speed at a ledge will result in John just lightly skipping off and falling to his death, or at the very least losing a ton of health since apparently falling more than 3 feet is John's Achilles heel. You know what, too bad Hans didn't know all he had to do was push McClane off a milk carton and he would have broken all the bones in his legs. Well, now that we got all that out of the way, it's time to jump in. You play as John McClane, obviously, and since the game takes place 15 or so years after the first film, John's, getting a little too old for this shit. Wait, that's Lethal Weapon. John's daughter is also a cop now, so naturally she's gonna be kidnapped before anyone can welcome her to the party, pal. The story is just dumb, but also pretty stupid. It's that typical early aughts game story where the writers were just happy they got to make a Die Hard game with their glorified fan fiction. Never mind the fact Bruce Willis is nowhere in sight here, instead being played by grizzled white guy, 48. But holy shit, Mr. Reginald Vell Johnson, a.k.a. Captain Al Powell, a.k.a. they're turning my car into Swiss cheese, reprises his role and he doesn't phone it in.
So what you got in mind, John? I don't know if being Lucy's father makes it a good thing for you to be here.
Look, Al, I'm not leaving. No, I'm not in uniform, so if I get spotted, I'll just make like I was a guest who got lost.
Oh yeah, you look like a real art lover, McClane.
It may just be glorified fan fiction, but damn does Al just fill me with the warm fuzzies. You have to let me re-record that.
No!
Why do you keep saying
We're
no?
keeping it.
I keep making things sound sick.
it.
You suck at this job. Al shot a kid. They don't show it in the movie, but that's why he doesn't want to use his gun. Wait a second, didn't Murtaugh shoot a kid too? Well, once you take control of John, and immediately pause the game to turn the sensitivity all the way down because holy shit, you'll find a pretty competently made shooter, actually. The first level is simple enough. You go to the museum after some gunfire rattles the place and your daughter is there and some paintings might have gotten pushed over or something. No, I wasn't really paying attention. You'll notice pretty quickly they give you a very generous auto-aim, which you can turn off if you want, but I left it on because it really helped the game's combat just feel fast and frenetic. The GameCube controller ain't the best way to play a shooter, and don't argue with me, you know I'm right. And you know what? They did a fine job. It wasn't long before I was dual-wielding pistols and blasting through the level, laying waste to anything that moved. Alright, now onto my arch nemesis, the second level. The first thing you'll notice is the frame rate just halved, and the second thing you'll notice is this idiot who was just robbed. He needs your help tracking the baddies down, so let's go play cop. Oh, what's this? Some robbers? Have at you! Oh, shit. Alright, I wasn't quick enough. Reload the checkpoint, play back to this point. I said, have at you! Alright, let me try and take this guy hostage. No. Sneak over here. No. Huh. What's down here? Nothing. Oh, here we go. How the hell did I miss this all these years? The back door. Of course, I'm such a stupid. Sorry, ma'am. Whoop. Are you serious? They didn't hear that? I can't sneak within 10 yards of one of those jackals without one of them hearing my heart murmur, but I unload a full clip into this guy 10 feet away and nothing. Well, at least I can finally— Oh, come on! I'm starting to remember why I never made it past this level. It is just frustrating trial and error, and with no manual saves, I can't just quickly experiment with ways to take these terrorists out before they kill the hostages. And checkpoints are so random, there might only be one per level, and sometimes they're 10 or more minutes apart. You think it's just as easy as sneaking up behind the guy and grabbing him, but 9 times out of 10, I'd get seen for some reason, and boom, back to a terrible checkpoint. As for how I finally beat that section, well, they don't tell you you can't take a hostage when you're dual-wielding pistols. Of course, I was always dual-wielding pistols. You give me the option to dual-wield pistols, I got dual-wield pistols! This level, it plays more like an adventure game with shooting mechanics. Alright, interrogate a gang leader for info, platform across these roofs, spend 17 years not realizing you can't take a terrorist hostage while dual-wielding pistols, find a disguise, get a pool club card, find where the pool club is, use the disguise in the card to get into the pool club, kill everyone in the club, or don't. Actually, I don't know, they're not telling me what to do, and if I choose wrong, it's back at a really bad checkpoint. Get another key, this time to the cinema. Sink this sweet-ass three-pointer. Use this tractor to dump its load so you can get across this gap. There's the cinema. Is this the end of the level? Holy shit. And you know what? After finally beating it, I don't even feel bad for not being able to complete it back in 2002. Of course I couldn't beat it back in 2002. I was an idiot back then.
Yeah, you were.
Shut up. But at the same time, you know, shooting dudes is fun. There's something about the game that, you know, just makes me want to keep playing. I can see why I kept renting and rebuying it. There's just something about it. Thankfully, the levels get better for the most part after the second one, and the game's biggest strength starts coming into focus. It has decent variety. The levels take you from city streets to movie theaters to an under-construction subway to the police department, a backlot film studio, a prison, etc. And some of the levels are really well-paced and designed. In the film studio level, you break into movie sets Duke Nukem style and find yourself on a low-budget Star Trek-looking set to one that looks a lot like the jungle level in GoldenEye now that I think about it. Oh, they even got the bridge. And they're not afraid to try things. I was wondering for a few seconds why the already unstable frame rate was tanking in this castle part of the backlot studio level when I realized they had made all the walls completely destructible. There isn't this level of destructibility anywhere else in the game, it's just here, and it was a fun surprise. I mean, shame the frame rate couldn't handle it. I mean, the game kind of has these cool moments here and there. I mean, there's this part in the subway where I couldn't figure out how to open this door until on a whim I turned this giant chain gun around and watched as the bullets literally bent it off its hinges. Or when I had to fill this fish tank with bullets to flood this area so I can get through to the other side. I mean, it's the little things. But that too led to frustration when in the very next room a terrorist had thrown a factory worker in this giant fish tank and I had mere seconds to figure out how to get him out. Apparently, firing into the fish tank to drain it like I just did in the previous room wasn't the answer. Game over. Please start at the checkpoint 10 minutes back. Only that was the answer. I just hadn't fired enough bullets into the tank. Sometimes the game wants you to go stealthy, and that's where things can quickly fall apart. Forced stealth sections are mostly gone from today's games, and hopefully rotting in hell right next to escort missions, encumbrance, and breakable weapons. In one level, they decide to mix two of the game's worst systems, the obtuse adventure gamey elements with the forced stealth, and you know what? I think I would have just quit if not for a guide. After you figure out what to do, it's simple, but the figuring out part is agonizing. So the quick version is you get locked up for reasons and have to escape. You do that by taking this officer hostage, taking him into a cell, waiting for your chance and taking the second officer hostage, taking him to a cell, finding a pack of cigarettes and offering a cigarette to this guy, getting him to light one for you, using that lit cigarette to then light a mattress on fire, waiting for the final CO guarding the exit to come running with a fire extinguisher, sneaking past him to hide in this locker, waiting for him to come back so the gate behind you opens, going across this hallway, sinking the sweet-ass three-pointer, pressing this button, and finally using the elevator to escape. Figuring out each step of that puzzle was at least 4 or 5 game over screens. Frustrating doesn't begin to describe it. When the game is just focusing on traversing the levels and introducing fools to your machine gun, it's straightforward fun, but sometimes it just finds a way to throw a wrench in the works just to throw you off. Overall, if it sounds like I'm a bit down on this game, it's because I kinda am. But also, I'm kinda not. It's a weird one. Pick almost any other game of this ilk I've ever played, and if I bang my head against any level in that game as hard as I have some of these, it'd be back on the shelf in an instant. I just don't have the time to deal with that kind of frustration, but here, I'd bang my head against the level and just keep moving on to the next one. Maybe it's part nostalgia for the character and the universe, or maybe it's because despite a few severe shortcomings, the overall game is surprisingly fun and intriguing. For every, you didn't save the hostage exactly the way we wanted, game over! There's a, pull this fire alarm and shoot a loose wire to electrocute some fools. For every few obtuse puzzles, there's a clever one. It's a game of give and take. And not an ounce of it is cynically designed. I mean, it's amateur, sure, but full of heart and good ideas that just deserve to be polished a bit more. But The worst of it all came at the end of one of the more bland missions, a warehouse level, where you're required to make a series of perfect platforming jumps on top of moving forklifts. Like I said earlier, the platforming in this game is atrocious, and this demanding platforming puzzle section so astonishingly terrible that it almost burned up all the goodwill the game has garnered with me so far. And after about 24 game over screens, which led to another bad checkpoint, which forced me to blast through the same 10 minutes over and over again, only to just die because of some bullshit jumps, I almost quit the game entirely at this part. I slept on it and tried again the next day for over an hour before finally completing it. But in another example of this game's give and take, the very next level, which sees you return to the Nakatomi Plaza, is as straightforward as it gets. No weird puzzles, no severe difficulty spikes, just make your way to the roof and kill anything that moves. Even the music is uneven. I mean, the main theme is just dumb early 2000s game music, but some of the in-level music, like the Nakatomi Plaza, has a great tense score. I mean, it's just really well done. I mean, I could go on here from praise to complaints and back again, but if you turned my auto jump on and forced me to the very edge of the Nakatomi Plaza roof, I'd say it's kinda worth it. I mean, this is definitely gonna be in my guilty pleasure pile. Not necessarily a title I can sit here and tell you to play, but definitely one I can sit here and tell you should probably play. It has some bold ideas and some truly awful ones, but at the end of my life, when I exit this mortal coil, I wanna go like McClane probably will in the next movie. I wanna die hard. No, I wanna die rock hard. I did it again. You have to let me re-record that. I keep making sections. Please. God, you suck so bad.
Can you turn that down?
What? This tune is kicking it.
McClane!
I've been told I don't do that like, subscribe, share nonsense because I always found it super annoying, but it might be hampering the channel, so I'm gonna like, subscribe, or share. Please do any of the three. I don't care. Or don't. Doesn't matter. Enjoy.
I'm telling Aunt Sarah, you said I suck.
No, don't tell her.